but I just want to make sure it's picking up on YouTube. Somebody wants to raise their hand for me, so I can see movement. That worked. All right, we're on.
Should we start over or just
No,
continue?
we're good.
All right, so do we have any community announcements?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Lynn Blasey from the Arts and Culture Commission is here. She has an announcement. And while she's coming up, may I make one as well?
Yes, go ahead.
So at the conclusion of tonight's meeting, when we are ready to go to closed session, and we are not going to vote after closed session, just information. So we're gonna take a break, pause, and we would invite everyone, the public who's watching, the public who's here today, to join us first in the first floor hallway to unveil our centennial plaque commemorating 100 years of Hamtramck. I think that's really great. And for some of you who were here the entire 100 years, it would be especially important. And then secondly, I have here with me, and this is to give to our former mayor, this is for her, the Mayor Karen Majewski, PhD Street. We're gonna be unveiling the street signs across Zussman Park at the corner of Yeamans. We will have that presentation, and then we'll return to the chamber for a closed session. You're welcome to wait in the hallway to hear us adjourn, but we're not going to plan to do any extra business outside of that. But please join us for both of those things, and then Mr. Mayor Lynn Blasey.
Go ahead.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I am speaking today on the behalf of the Arts and Culture Commission, and we prepared a statement just to express our sincere thank you to Kathy for your overwhelming support, especially when we all came aboard to the commission when it was reinstituted 2 years ago. We were new, unsure how things worked, and you were a huge asset to us to relaunch as a commission, and everything that we've done, we owe a great deal of gratitude to you. And we wish you good luck in your endeavors, and we also hope that you come back and enjoy the things we have planned for this very special and unique community in Hamtramck. And this is from all of us: Tim Price, the chair, myself, the vice chair, Colleen Burke, our secretary, Dusty Conley, our treasurer, Dwight L. Garrett, and Faina Learman, and also Josh Gardner and George Elkind, our advisors. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman?
I mentioned a few months ago that the Special Olympics Unified Cup would be coming here to Detroit, and the final game will be played, the championship games, there will be two. There will be a women's game and a men's game. Will be played at Keyworth Stadium in Hamtramck here on August 6th. So there will be over 300 players from over 20 countries here playing during that cup, and there will be a mixture of players that have intellectual disabilities with those who do not have intellectual disabilities, and so it's just going to be a really interesting sports event that I hope that many of you will come out to see. The tickets for that final game are on sale now. If you wanted to go to specialolympics.org/unified-cup-2022, and I think they were like $10, and it's going to be a fun event. They have the support of Detroit City FC in terms of like the atmosphere that will be there, and so just highly encourage you to come out for that.
Any more announcements? All right.
If I may make it quick, I just found it. There is a Bangladeshi festivals happening this month, end of this month, July 29, 30, and 31st on Conan Street. It was renamed to Bangladesh Avenue. So you're welcome to join us, as there are going to be street foods and Bangladeshi cultural music from 3 to 10, I think, around that time. So please join us. It'll be July 29, 30, and 31st. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll move to the proclamations, recognitions, and presentations, and we have a legislative update for Wayne County Commissioner Martha Scott.
Good evening, Mr. President, and Mr. Mayor, President, City Council members. It's indeed an honor and a privilege to be with you this evening. And I understand now we're on TV, Channel 19, how wonderful. And to all the community, thank you for allowing me to be here. Mrs. Anger was not only the city manager here, but we've been colleagues for some time in the House of Representatives. So I've had an opportunity to know her, as they say, down through the years. And so, but because of all the things that she has done here is the reason why you've gotten most of my money, is because she is always on top of things, okay? She got it to me often and early. And so I am just grateful. I'm grateful that we were able to get Conant finished under her also. So I have a resolution from Wayne County for Mrs. Anger. County of Wayne, resolution honoring Kathleen Anger, retiring as city manager of Hamtramck. Whereas it is with great pleasure that we, the members of the Wayne County Commission, pause to honor Kathleen Anger on her retirement following a distinguished career as city manager of Hamtramck, Michigan. And whereas Kathleen Anger grew up in Carlton, Michigan, attended St. Mary's Academy in Monroe and Monroe County Community College before graduating from Eastern Michigan University and embarking on a career that spanned both the private and public sector. And whereas known for her ability to spearhead quality of life issues like improving and investing in public parks and green space, improvements to the infrastructure, boosting council and community relations, and balancing the city's budget, Kathleen Anger began as Director of Community and Economic Development and Community and Government Affairs in Hamtramck before serving as its city manager in 2017. And whereas in her position as city manager, Kathleen Anger was instrumental in drafting a city newsletter, creating art in the park and music in the park events, and collaborating with Hamtramck Public Schools to apply for grants, improving historical Keyworth Stadium, and creating the Hamtramck Parks Conservancy. And whereas Kathleen Anger believes that grassroots community building and strong fiscal management are the key to sustainability for any city, and her tenure while serving Hamtramck proves that to be true. And whereas Kathleen Anger believes that has been recognized for her outstanding performance in Hemophilia Foundation of Michigan and the Michigan Agribusiness Association, and named Public Policy Health Champion for the Michigan Department of Community Health. Kathleen Anger believes that the grassroots community building and strong physical management are the key to the sustainability. And the city and her tenure while serving Hamtramck proves that to be true. I said that twice because it is so true. Resolved that the Wayne County Commission congratulates Kathleen Anger on this latest chapter in her life and wishes her many more years of spirited health and happiness. So may God continue to bless you and smile on you. And I forgot this part, that she was named Legislator of the Year by the Michigan Pharmaceutical Association and the Hemophilia Affiliation of Michigan and the Michigan Agribusiness Association, and named Public Policy Champion of the Michigan Department of Health. So therefore, now we resolve it, that the Wayne County Commission congratulates you for many years. Signed by your friend, Martha G. Scott, Wayne County Commissioner, District 20. So may God continue to bless you and
Thank you.
smile on you.
And
You've done a great job.
thank you, and, you know, I always call her senator, because, that was the top office, but she's doing some great things here at the county. But, I do wanna say what I said to her when I first came in the room. I said, is it too late for me to apply for a grant tomorrow?
You know, I just
Bye-bye.
gave her a big laugh.
A little bye-bye one, so, thank you so much, I
Well,
appreciate this.
if there was, we would do it. All right.
Thank you so
Okay,
much for
thank
being here
you.
tonight.
But we will continue to work with you and for you.
Thank
God bless each and every one of you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. The next item is presentation by Municipal Employees Retirement System, MERS, Actuarial Valuation Report by Sue Feinberg. Yes. Is she available?
She's here.
Okay.
It's hard to find a seat tonight.
Oh,
okay.
I think we're still celebrating you.
Well deserved.
Yes.
Well deserved. Well, thank you. I won't take up much of your time tonight. I know you have a busy agenda, and I was just here a couple months ago, and we went through your annual actuarial valuation. So tonight, I just wanted to give you kind of the highlights of your latest annual valuation, which is for year ending 2021. So this came out in June. The good news, right off the bat, is your funding level went up. Okay, so the funding level went from 41% to 45%.
Here.
Yes, you're here. That's a great thing. You're moving in the right direction. So your unfunded liability, so that gap, you know, between being 100% funded and where you are, is currently on a 17-year amortization schedule. So if you were to only make minimum payments, you would be 100% funded in 17 years, but as you know, it looks like things will change a little bit, right, in the spring with the legislative decisions for the budget. I know a lot of work went into that. Kathy was instrumental in that. And so there'll be more information coming out about that, but hopefully it looks like your funding level will be assisted by the state. So you should be 60% funded in August of next year. Because right now they've set it up so that, you know, there's still gonna be a lot of changes. I mean, all other things, right now, you qualify under all the guidelines that they've set forward. It would be the middle of April to the middle of June that you'll have to apply for this grant, and then the grant would be presented to the city, they're saying by the end of August of 2023, so next year. So the rates that are in your actuarial valuation will wind up changing when we do receive that money from you, okay, because the state will send it to you and then you will forward it on to us. And so the rates that are in this valuation are giving you your July 1st, 2023 required employer contribution. So just know when we do get that lump sum, we'll recalculate your rates. Kathy had asked me if I could kind of give a ballpark of what it would be. It's pretty complicated. I wish it was some simple math, but we're working on that. And I also ran a quick calculation of what it would be to bring you to that 60% funding level. So we can only go out as far as the end of May of 2023, but that payment now would be like $17.6 million. The state has capped it at $170 million per municipality. So it should be in that ballpark, and we'll be working with you, and we'll be working with Treasury to assist you, you know, in anything you need to get your paperwork in and work through that process, because I know there's still a lot of bugs to work out. So that's the good news. There's really no bad news. So if the way it sits now, your cost would go up about $14,000 prior to that money coming in. So that would be a year from now. Again, that's paying down your unfunded liability. The rest of the report, I think, is, you know, pretty much we went through it before. Are there any questions I can answer for you? Concerns, questions? Kathy, any questions?
Sue's been very responsive during the process where the legislature was looking at this issue of, and it's the one-time ARPA money that's making this possible, so I want to mention that as well.
Mhm.
But to think that we would have an infusion of that many $1 million next year to send to MERS to shore up our pension. I know, Mayor Pro Tem, you should be smiling big because you've been on this issue for a long time.
Long time.
And, you know, this is one of the things that I'm gonna say helped me know that I could leave Hamtramck in a good place. This pension issue is one of our biggest issues. $5.7 million out of our general fund this year, that's our number this year, 5.7 million before we pay for anything else.
Anything.
Is for that retirement pension. That's gonna shore us up, change that number, so that you'll have some money to work with and build some equity in our fund balance and do some things that you've been wanting to do. So this is a huge thing, and MERS worked with the legislature to make this happen. So the communities got together, MML is to be applauded as well.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a great thing for communities.
Absolutely.
It really is. It's welcome. It's nice to have some good news.
Yes. Thank you.
If there's no other questions, I'll go ahead and let you move on with your meeting. Know that
Thank
I'm
you.
always here. You know, I'll be working with Max, so I'm available for questions if you just want to reach out or go through Max, and I'd be happy to come back and talk to you at any time.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
It's been a pleasure, Kathy.
Thank you. I'll see you again.
All right, is there any additions, deletions, agenda approval?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I laid at each of your stations, an item for the consent agenda, and it's resolution 2022-83, approving the appointment of Mashana Burton, who's with us here tonight, to the position of HR generalist. So you each have that at your station, with the agenda note, and because it's not available online yet, if you would indulge me and allow me to read it, the agenda note and the resolution, at the time, before we go to that place, I would appreciate it. Would that be okay, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
can we put this one in the new business?
Can,
Yeah.
wherever you choose to put it.
Yeah, can you please,
Absolutely.
new business,
Can we make it item,
first one?
item A in new business
Yep.
and move the others down?
No
Thank you.
problem.
Then I can speak with them,
Yeah, then we can talk also.
that's fine.
All right, so we are moving, resolution 2022-83 to the new business, will be item A.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right?
All those,
Any,
Hmm?
all
all,
yeas?
yeah.
All
yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that was under addition and deletions. Any other additions or deletions? All right, so we'll move to the public input.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I ask a question first? Anyone who gave me a card that rather save their time for the public, for the,
Public hearing.
public hearing? I know I got one, Philip Quick is public hearing. That's it? Okay. Mr. Markori, Plymouth, 3 minutes, sir?
Good evening. We have reached a crossroads in the city's administration. Kathy Anger and Jim Allen are going to be leaving. Mr. Allen's resigned. This is going to be your last day as city manager. I've actually known these names for a long time, since 2013, since I first instituted legal proceedings against the city. So I just want to say there's two things you have to do now. You have to get, and you follow the right track, new city manager, get a search committee out there, get a search firm out there. They recommended last time Steve Duchesne. They paid $20,000 for a recommendation for a search company. Nobody took him. Too bad. I would have preferred Steve Duchesne. Nothing against Ms. Anger, she's well-known in Lansing. People at stake come to me and say, what's Kathy Anger doing down there? When do I go to Lansing? So they still know her down there. But we have to do that. Secondly, and one guy I saw is open to work is Bill Cooper. Usually city manager back in the early part of the decade. He's worked for Elk Rapids for a while, now he's looking for work. Maybe you could come back. I like Bill Cooper. New city attorney, why we've inherently had a problem with city attorneys turning over so much, there's an inherent conflict of interest. The inherent conflict of interest is that the city charter allows a law firm, a private law firm, to be the city attorney. And when you have that, you have the firm actually running the city, okay? Outside firm. You know, it's not like I have Hennessy Engineers running DPS, you have something independent. There's no buffer there where somebody's in charge of the city legal department, and you hire it, so you get all these, you know, legal fees. And that's what we've seen in the history of this. You know, nothing against, I'm trying to impede on Mr. Clark at all, or Mr. Albert. There's been a lot of legal fees. I had one case over a truck. I settled a case for $7,000. They paid over $20,000 legal fees. You know, everything's a lot of litigation. Why is that? In one case, there are $50,000 legal fees. That's why we are searching for an attorney. If you're submitting any application forms out there for the attorney, I would like to apply. So many people come to me and says, we want you to see attorney. They got a good idea. I don't see like the back of my hand. We took 38 depositions to city in the Shea case. Okay, so I know how all the departments are interrelated, the interdynamics, how they work, where the problems are with the DPS, the police department, the fire department. The problem with the MERS department comes from negotiations of contracts are too generous to these outside public service unions. We can try to put a stance on that. We can try to help that. So if you have a form, application form for city attorney, I'd like to fill one out. Thank you.
Anglazzi? Faber Street, 3 minutes.
Can I be proactive and ask for my extra minute up front, please?
No problem.
Thank you.
I was-
You got it?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, Mayor and Council, I have to be quick. Regarding Resolution 2022-75, I'm excited to see the festival and parade are happening. I am curious if the parade is only going to be between Carpenter and Caniff, because it doesn't mention that Holbrook to Caniff is closing. Regarding Resolution 2022-76, I'm glad to see movement addressing the needs of our seniors in the absence of People's Community Service. And the plan by the Detroit Area Agency on Aging seems thorough and well thought out. Regarding Resolution 2022-77, a week or so ago I attended the Durga Temple Community Picnic on behalf of the Arts and Culture Commission, and I look forward to their procession on March 20th from 5 to 8 p.m. Resolution 2022-79, I think the house on Goodson is gorgeous. I am concerned that it doesn't appear to include off-street parking. Parking is a huge concern in Hamtramck, and I did not see that in the site plan. Resolution 2022-80, this one seems really tricky. Good luck figuring out how you want to handle it. I'm concerned about the administrative costs, if the Hamtramck purchased the houses, how developers would be chosen, and I think it could be a good opportunity for affordable houses to residents, but again, it seems like the process is a little bit obscure with what that might look like, and I would encourage council to maybe table that if it's possible to next meeting to figure out what that could look like. Resolution 2022-81 about alleys. I'm not quite sure why this resolution is on the agenda. Hennessy gave a great presentation February 22nd outlining all of the funded projects, and any new funding would have to go through the bidding process and everything. So I'm not really sure the point of that agenda item. But I do agree that alleys should be a priority, and the city has shown that they already are a priority if you look at that presentation. And finally, regarding Resolution 2022-82, I'm not sure why this one's on the agenda either when there's a subcommittee strategically working through all the ordinances. But since it's on the agenda, I will say that I've been a tenant since I graduated college in 2005. And during my 17 years as a tenant all over Michigan, I've learned that landlords often only make improvements when inspectors come in and say they need to. Tenants are in a vulnerable position, and if they try to get their landlords to make improvements, they risk being forced to move so someone else that doesn't know what's wrong with the property can move in and pay rent until they try to speak up. If anything on this topic, I'd support an exploration of it further, encouraging or asking for a report on the current inspection process. How frequently do our current landlord inspections fail? How long does it take for landlords to change from a failing to passing inspection? And really take a look at what the data says. My big concern is that this extending the time between inspections would encourage slumlords, absentee landlords, and landlords that are too busy to keep up on their properties to neglect their properties and have more Hamtramck houses falling apart and bringing down the property values of the rest of the community. Thank you.
4 minutes to the last. Barbara Beasley, McDougal, welcome.
Thank you. Eid Mubarak. Very happy to be here. I've been a resident of Hamtramck and a renter for 22 plus years, and love to call Hamtramck my home. I've been a member of the Hamtramck Community Initiative back when it was Weed and Seed, supporting the folks in terms of safety and health and well-being. I'm also a member of the People's Water Board, and a few other members of that board are here with me today. Our concern has to do with the issue of water affordability. As a resident throughout my years in Hamtramck, I've never had to pay a water bill until I moved this year, and all of a sudden I have a water bill in addition to my other expenses, and the rent itself skyrocketed a few $100s a month. So this is going to hit a lot of people worse than it hits me, but it sure hits me. One of the things we would like you to consider is a water affordability plan that's based on household income. And there'll be a few people that will follow me that will explain a little more about that. But essentially, I think during these times, I've worked on the environment for a long time and how it impacts people and their health. And I don't know if you're familiar with the term sacrifice zone, but that's what they call the area around the Fiat Chrysler, where the air pollution is so terrible and people have terrible health results, and it's called a sacrifice zone. We do not want this city to be a sacrifice zone. We know that Henry Ford Hospital has done a study of the impact of water shutoffs, and it's been proven that it really has a terrible impact on the public good. What we're asking for today is we're looking for volunteers to help with those who need help with filling out forms, as the city manager has requested we do. We're also asking that there be a person on council be appointed as a liaison to work with us on this water affordability plan. And we're asking that within about 6 weeks that the council would come up with a draft, but essentially that you would support this idea of the water affordability plan and help us to get that into Hamtramck so that people are fairly charged for their water and they can live in a safe and sanitary way. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Mustafa Al-Turk, Ryan Road, Warren.
The Honorable Mayor Shahab, members of the council, good evening and Eid Mubarak. My name is Mustafa Al-Turk. I'm the Imam and President of the Islamic Organization of North America. I'm also a co-chair of the Interfaith Justice Committee of the People's Water Board, where Sister Barbara just spoke. And I would like to present before you the water statement that we wrote regarding this very important issue. Water is essential to life. Water is central to all of the religions of the world. We are people of various spiritual and religious backgrounds who are united in the belief that no one should ever be denied access to clean, safe, affordable water. We believe that water is sacred in and itself, our beloved kin and relation. Water is not a commodity, it is a trust endowed by our Creator. Whether part of our sacred stories, solemn rituals, sacraments, or shared values, water is more than a symbol. Not only is water a human right, water is life. The lack of water threatens the lives of people and disrupts community health and well-being. Without water, people cannot drink, bathe, cook, flush toilets, or maintain sanitation. Water shutoffs can result in health and human services removing children from the home. Shutoffs have also played a role in infectious disease contamination and lead poisoning to tragic effect. These are unprecedented times that demand a clear moral response that upholds the common good. The moratorium on shutoffs needs to be permanent and combined with a water affordability plan. We call upon all local governments, including Hamtramck, to use federal and state dollars to assist families at risk of water having their water shut off and support ongoing efforts to make water affordable. Simply adding delinquent water bills to taxes is not the solution, since it often results in struggling families losing their homes to foreclosures. We need an affordability plan that allows all people to pay their water bills and keep their homes. We believe that the measure of a society is how it treats those who are struggling to afford life's necessities, especially water. As people of faith, we stand in support of Resolution 64/292 of the United Nations General Assembly that explicitly recognizes that human right to water and sanitation and acknowledges that clean drinking water and sanitation are essential to the realization of all human rights.
Time.
And my last 2 seconds, if you will, to deny our neighbors access to water is to deny their human dignity and their human rights. We have a moral and religious obligation to respect and protect water for the sake of our children and the generations to come. That's okay, I borrowed the 10 seconds from my colleague Bartos. Thank you anyway. I would like to leave this for the mayor and the board.
Thank you, not a problem.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Cass, I'm sorry, Charette. Welcome, 3 minutes, Cass. John R. Troy.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I am Reverend Cass Charette, representing the People's Water Board. I am the liaison to the Tri-County, for the Tri-County, and I speak with city officials within each city, just speaking about resources for water because of the, they've been shut off for so long because of COVID, and really want to appreciate that you've taken this long to not turn back water on, and we understand that you need to. However, we just really want you to understand not only the resources available, but the vulnerability of individuals. I had a process of door-to-door about 3 years ago in Hamtramck for people who have been shut off on water, and just noticed the vulnerability for certain families and not even wanting or feeling embarrassed to reach out to say that they cannot afford their water bill, to even make a down payment. And so we're really wanting to help the most vulnerable with this process coming up that you are now starting water shutoffs. And also, we understand that there are 2 programs that you are asking individuals to sign up for, and that is LIWAP and RAP. And there are several other ARPA funding programs that I do not believe are on the agenda to have people sign up. I am, and so are others, working with Mr. Diamond to put these in effect. And I would just name them, a few of them is the Pandemic Emergency Assistance Fund, Homeowners Assistance Fund, CERA is for renters, and there's the new program, My Half Out. The differences between these programs is LIWAP and RAP give very minimal amount to individuals, and these programs could, if they are eligible, pay off their entire bill, or at least a larger amount of it. Thank you.
Barry Rubin from West Bloomfield.
Good evening to the council, the mayor, and government officials here, and to the audience community. My name is Barry Rubin, and I'm a member of the People's Water Board of Detroit, which has been involved in seeking moratoriums on water shutoffs and implementation of water affordability plans for more than the last 10 years. We've done a lot of work towards that end in Detroit. I'm a retired educator, 33 years in the Pontiac schools, and involved in the pursuit of water justice over the last 4 years. As your community faces shutoffs, and all the problems that come with them that have been outlined for you tonight and that you're probably aware of, it's important to look at a water affordability plan based on household income. It is a humane, practical means of addressing the human need for water and sanitation, and water utilities need for the sufficient revenue to meet those needs. Simply, it is a plan that allows low-income households to pay an affordable amount for clean water and sewer services while bringing in more revenue for the local water utility than are realized using a shutoff model. You know the problems that low-income residents are experiencing in regards to their water bills, and you know the problems that your water utility is having collecting those. So to begin to consider a water affordability plan, you need to clearly define your problem, to look at what you're charging, to look at household income distribution in the city, to look at reasons why your customers are not paying their bills, and also for the water utility to consider its budget and the total amount that it bills customers each year, and what's the difference between that and what is collected. Costs for infrastructure and debt service, of course, are major contributions. By the way, the EPA says no family, no household can afford more than 4.5% of its household income in a year for water and sewer. Next, the utility must look at all its resources, and Cass talked about all the resources. But I'd like to also add that water affordability plans are about to be launched in Detroit, Pontiac, and the Chartered Township of Royal Oak, and so those deserve a look at. So, and there are many models of water affordability plans in the United States. As I said, some are based on discounts on the total bill, some are predetermined dollar amount discounts, some are percentage discounts, some eliminate fees, and some combine all the elements. So to ensure the human right to water and sanitation and the ability of local utility to continue to provide these services, a water affordability plan based on household income must be developed. We have worked with a number of these cities regarding the creation of such a plan. We would love to work with you. We are wide open to coming back at any time to work with you. And if it would be okay, I'd like to leave a copy of this full statement with each one of the members.
Yeah, I'll pass them out.
Keep it
to
down.
you, right?
How many are there?
There's 5 of them present.
If you could give a few extra, so that
Sure.
we can give them to the absent members and one for the record.
Sure.
So a total of 8, please.
I've got a bunch. And the name on the front is Sister Barb Beasley, who spoke to you earlier. She's the one to contact if and when you decide, hopefully, that you will work with us on developing a plan.
Thank you so much.
By the way, city manager,
Pardon me?
no,
Oh,
there is not even one family Hamtramck has the water shut down.
Not
so
yet.
far planned out. Not yet, it's so far, that's why I said. We know we have the plan. Go ahead.
I think Ramana Rahman is out in the hallway. Ramana?
I don't know if I'm-
Hamtramck?
And a lot of dead money waiting for whatever, nobody come.
Good evening, respectable mayor, city council members, and everyone here. Today I'm here to speak on resolution 2022-82, the ordinance that deals with the interval between mandatory inspection, increasing it to 3 years. So I'm here to speak as a citizen and also represent the concerns of the renter community and share some of my own experience as a renter living in Hamtramck for 1 year. So I moved to Hamtramck last year in July when I moved to Michigan, and my father told me about this amazing diverse city where Yemenis, Bangladeshis, and Europeans live together, and I was fascinated, and I wanted to move. And as soon as I moved here, I understood that the supply and demand of rental market was not in my favor. It was really hard to find a place, and I finally found a place. After finding a place, as soon as I moved in, I started having a lot of issues with old house issues, repairs, installations, inspections that my landlord simply refused to do anything about because, you know, the market wasn't in his favor and he couldn't. One of my landlord literally put up smoke detectors the day the inspector had to come in, literally, and I had to buy half of the batteries. And as soon as the fire inspection was done, he said, "Oh, these in your kitchen, you don't need it, I'm gonna remove them." And he removed them and he left. Where would fire most happen? In my kitchen, and he removed them. The only thing that protected me that day was the inspection. He was compelled to do it. I also had a major issue with insulation that led to a huge mold problem. But when I lived in Seattle before, the city council passed a resolution where they had to tell us about mold. In the city, there was no such resolution. I had no such power. He also barged into me without giving any notice. I also learned in the state of Michigan, their reasonable notice is not really defined. So even though he passed the furnace test, it didn't affect the insulation. So what I'm trying to tell here is my story is one such story. In a city that has so many old houses, has a very high poverty rate, I'm surprised, are there no renters in this council? This resolution is very disproportionately and negatively impact the renters. And I'm a bit appalled. In a city with old dilapidated cities, lack of infrastructure, a high market, we should have more inspection, not only regarding furnace, but regarding mold, regarding lead, regarding a lot of other issues. We should have inspections that serve the needs of both the landlords and the renters. But this resolution will negatively impact renters. And my story is just one story. And I have heard so many stories after coming to Hamtramck of renters like myself, who these inspections saved them. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Ahmed Sheikh, Hamtramck, welcome.
Thank you.
3 minutes, sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I start in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to express my initial comments regarding Resolution 2022-78, approving second reading and the public hearing of amendment to Hamtramck Animal Ordinance. I didn't know about this until I spoke to some city officials that the council is entertaining the idea of banning the religious sacrificial rituals of the Muslims in Hamtramck. I was kind of perplexed because, one, I'm actually more perplexed right now when I look at the audience, and no offense to all of you guys are my neighbors, but I'm surprised why there are no really Muslims sitting here to discuss this issue. And I did understand that there weren't really much appearance of the Muslim community here in the last meeting. So this might be an off term. We use this in grammar. It's like an oxymoron appearance. That's what I understand from the media, the council office and the mayor are Muslims, The community is Muslims, but this issue has come to the council floor. So that only makes me to understand there's issues of education in the community about Islam and the Muslims and their practices. So at this moment, I'd just like to extend my invitation to the council, the mayor, all city officials, and my neighbors. I am the superintendent and director of a mosque on Lumpkins and Kanif named Masjid Sunnah. We're willing to have classes, presentation in the city about Islam for everyone to learn, officials and non-officials. And we invite all of you to come in order that these type of contradiction doesn't escalate to something else in the future. And I thank you for your time, and I will soon see you in the public hearing of Resolution 2028-78. Thank you.
Julia Sosen from Hamtramck. Is Julia still here? There you are.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Julia Sawson. I would like to comment on two things. First, I'm part of a group called Hamtramck Mutual Aid, and we are looking for volunteers to help seniors and neighbors with disabilities with, sorry, I'm having a hard time breathing in this mess, with yard maintenance, because there's a lot of neighbors in this city who live on a fixed income and cannot do the yard work themselves or pay someone else to, and they'd like to avoid a ticket. So we're looking for volunteers. We're meeting tomorrow, 6 p.m. at Bank Suey, the corner of Kanif and Joseph Campo, and the Midtown 3C7 Block Club meets afterwards at 7 p.m. Secondly, I'd like to briefly comment on Resolution 2022-82. I've been talking with friends and neighbors who rent, and many, more often than not, would like to see more repairs done on their property but are afraid to speak up because of rent increases, because demand is greater than supply. I believe we need more protections for renters, and I think that keeping regular 2-year intervals of inspections is one way of doing this, but I think we can do more. I think we should work on registering more rentals to protect more people, and also better keeping track of data, such as what are the common types of corrections made when an inspection happens, because we have old homes, some have knob and tube wiring, we don't want fires happening and stuff like that. So thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bill Meyer, Hamtramck resident, welcome.
Yes, hello, Bill Meyer from One Hamtramck. Eid Mubarak to my Muslim friends. I just realized we talk so much about Robert's Rules and all that. Essentially, if there's public comments are supposed to be addressed to the chair, and the chair spreads it to everyone else. That's the way it's supposed to be, but nobody follows the rules anyways. It's going good without the rules. I'm glad to be here to say farewell to our excellent city manager. This is your last meeting? Wow. So One Hamtramck is a civil, sort of like a social justice organization concerned with bringing people together and fighting xenophobia, racism, Islamophobia, and helping to bring more diversity to employment in the city. And I have to say that Kathy has done an excellent job in that area. She's brought diversity to City Hall. We've been fighting that for 20 years when we were in the Human Relations Commission. Nothing was done back then. Nothing was done. So thank you so much for the work you've done, and many other things too. And I have your phone number. Like I said, she gave me her personal phone number to call if there's any problems, so I will be bugging her wherever she ends up at. I do want to say also that One Hamtramck has done a couple of projects. We're working on a couple of projects now. One is the mural park in front of the Yemen mural. It's finally going to be worked on, and we're going to develop it into a beautiful park for all the people of the city to enjoy in front of the beautiful mural that we put up 8 years ago. And secondly, I'd like to announce that we've been asked, One Hamtramck's been asked to put together a TV show for the new Channel 19 at the library, and Greg Kirschman has been working on feverishly. So One Hamtramck is going to have a program called Keeping It Real, And it's gonna be an interview show with a lot of people who have a lot of opinions, and we know some of them will come in here quite regularly. Our first show will be next week, and we're gonna have 4 guests. The first one's gonna be Mark Karoy, and we're gonna have Kathy Gordon, who always has an opinion about everything. And we're gonna invite Imad Shamak from the Yemeni community. And we do have a gentleman who's a city manager. He's been a city manager for 40 years. And he's going to come and help us, give us some tips on how to look for a good city manager. And we're gonna have a wild discussion. Hopefully it'll be on YouTube or wherever else people can participate and give comments, and we can work together, because that's the whole project here, is to bring people together, learn about each other. And I appreciate what the gentleman before me said. It is quite interesting that this city is majority Muslim, and there's very few Muslims show up at these council meetings, and I think there should be more representation in that part of the community. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Lisa Carter? Is there a Lisa Carter out there? Or a Ramona Washington? Mr. Mayor, I have a few emailed public comments I'd like to read.
Okay.
First one is from Michael Marcus. I just heard that Councilman Al-Samiri is looking to increase the time between inspections. In doing so, he has just lost my vote because he is a landlord and this is a conflict of interest. After all, he's looking to make a law that directly benefits him. Atop that, given the way my friends who rent locally talk about the general quality and safety of their rental properties, it seems like there should be more inspections, not less. If I didn't have events scheduled on Tuesday, I would have been present at the event in person. I can only hope to lodge written comments. Next one is from Kit Parks. Good evening, my name is Kit Parks and I live on Florian Street where I rent an apartment of a duplex. Recently we had our city inspection, which prompted my landlord to install carbon monoxide detectors. I look forward to the city inspections because they often lead to my landlord addressing needed updates and repairs in my apartment. In regards to Resolution 2282, I urge City Council to request a report from the City Manager after the review of the rental ordinance. I also enthusiastically express my support for continuing the biannual inspections requirement or even increasing to require an inspection every year. Additionally, I understand the city plans to resume water shutoffs. Along with members of People's Water Board, I request the city to commit to developing a water affordability plan based on household income. Access to clean, safe water is a human right, and no one should go without it for any amount of time. As this is an urgent issue, please commit to drafting a plan within the next 6 weeks to bring back to council. Sooner would be better. Thank you. Best, Kit Parks. Next is Katie Carlson. I would like to make a public comment against Resolution 2282, which increases the inspection for residential landlords from 2 to 3 years. As a previous resident of Hamtramck, I saw how landlords continuously put off essential repairs and safety concerns until inspection dates come around. Hamtramck's residents deserve dignity and safety when it comes to housing, and the city can help ensure this by mandating frequent inspections. Additionally, there is an obvious conflict of interest in the raising of this bill by Councilman Al-Samiri, who himself is a landlord in Hamtramck. This must be considered as the council members have a responsibility to protect those in position of less power. Thank you for considering this perspective. Katie Carlson. Angela Haban, I believe. I am a resident of Hamtramck on Klinger Street, and I am writing in opposition to Resolution 2282. It is not the interest of the city or the residents to extend the amount of time between inspections of rental units. If anything, the unit should be inspected on a yearly basis, not every 3 years. I often hear renters complain of unsafe, unsanitary living conditions and the unscrupulous landlords who take advantage and take their time making necessary repairs. If we want to be healthy and if we want to be a healthy and prosperous city where families can thrive, we need to hold landlords to account to ensure that they are keeping up their end of the deal. 3 years between inspections is an unreasonable amount of time with zero oversight. This doesn't serve to benefit anyone other than those who would be unable to pass a yearly or biannual inspection. Please do the right thing. Look beyond your own personal interests. seeing as there are landlords amongst you on the council, and protect our renting neighbors. Thank you, Angie Havan. And I do have also a comment from our council member Rafai. This is Councilman Khalil Rafai. I'm not able to attend tonight's meeting because not feeling well since Sunday. Also, sorry to those who tried to contact me as I misplaced my cell on Saturday. These are my comments regarding a couple of resolutions. Resolution 2280, if the city purchases these properties, would we sell them and make money for the city as huge revenue? And if not, my advice is to let Wayne County take these properties and sell them. Regarding Resolution 2281, I believe we have been working on fixing alley and continuing to working to repair or repave more alley as we get more money and more grants. Resolution 2282, I believe there is a subcommittee working on reviewing and updating our city ordinances and charter. My opinion is to forward this to the subcommittee. Thank you all, and God bless everyone. Signed, Khalil Rafai. Mr. Mayor, that is all for first round of public comments.
Thank you. All right, so we move now to the consent agenda, and we have item A, approval of minutes from the June 28, 2022 regular city council meeting. B, approval of minutes from the June 29, 2022 special city council meeting. C, approval of invoice register date ending July 12, 2022. D, approval of pre-approved expenditure date ending July 12, 2022. E, a resolution 2022-75 approving street closure for annual Hamtramck Labor Day Festival. F, resolution 2022-76 approving Detroit Area Agency on Aging proposed FY 2023 annual implementation plan. This is,
We have one more.
oh, let me go down.
G.
Sorry. G, resolution 2022-77 approving Durga Temple annual procession. And this is approved in a single motion without discussion, so,
I'll make the motion.
Second.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
No objection? All right. So motion carries. All right, we move to the public hearing. Resolution 2022-78 approving second reading and public hearing of amendment to Hamtramck Animal Ordinance. Can I get a motion to open the hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All right.
Public
Do we
hearing.
have any comments?
8:09
8:09 p.m.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
so the subcommittee, Jaskowski, El Samiri, and Rafai worked on the animal ordinance along with Director Garbarino and myself. We spent several weeks on it. At the first reading of the ordinance, there was some concern about the portion regarding cats. We invited the individual who made those comments to meet with the subcommittee, and that did happen by a telephone conference. And I believe you have an ordinance before you that meets the needs of Hamtramck residents. We're on 30-foot lots here, and yes, there was a public comment today about a change that is in there against slaughtering animals for consumption on private property. We have several places in Hamtramck where that takes place, but the backyard of someone's home is not a place for that. We know that a lot of our residents, go to farms and pick up animals, participate in that. But on our 30 by 100 lots, it's a very difficult thing. We're not a country community out in the country, so in deference to neighbors next door, we did include that in our ordinance.
So there are specific places if you want to slaughter in Hamtramck that are allowed, or just,
We have slaughterhouses here that people can participate in and make requests of, yes.
all right, is there any other discussions?
Yes, Ahmed Shah?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, As-salatu was-salam ala ashraf al-anbiya wal-mursaleen. That's in Arabic, by me starting, as translated, all praise is due to the one God, and all the peace and blessings be on the chains of all the prophets from Adam to Abraham, to David, to Moses, to Jesus, to the last prophet Muhammad, peace be upon all of them. Is there a time frame period of this presentation?
No.
I'm afraid to say no, but no.
First and foremost, I stand here on behalf of all the Jewish, Christian, and Muslims who observe the Abrahamic sacrificial spiritual ritual from the time of Abraham to now. If they're not here, I do represent them, and I do speak on their behalf. It's a noble sacrifice to demonstrate one's belief in submission to one God, in whom we believe is Allah. I also stand on behalf of the people who wants to express their vehement opposition to the section 90.005E, but they're unable to do so due to their language barrier and understanding. They're crippled because of a generational gap. But as a community leader, many have expressed their opposition and distaste of this proposal. I also stand on behalf of those who left their countries, the Muslim lands, for seeking freedom to practice their religion, have found in this constitution the pleasure of practicing their religion, Islam, and those about 14,000 Muslims who live in Hamtramck. I am also saddened, as I mentioned earlier, they're not here. Why? I don't know. And please, don't take my comment, what I'm about to say, as something offensive, but this is just a conjecture. Either this is some type of political stunt that people do not know about this issue, or people just don't care. It's one of the two. It can't be anything else. Because I know in this city, there's other political issues in the mosques. They're talking about it, they're having signatures taken, and so forth. So I'm forced to believe that it probably might be a political stunt that has taken place. However, that's just my opinion. But most importantly, I stand here in front of all of you. I'm a Muslim, I'm a father. My parents came to this country for the religious freedom. My father, the first day he landed in New York, the first thing he did in his basement was to open up a mosque. In 1974, there was no mosque in New York. That's the first thing he did, in order that he may observe his religious rights. And I'm here to encourage the council and the mayor to strike down the paragraph 90.005E, because if this is passed, then the Muslims who live in Hamtramck will not be able to observe one of the symbols and rituals ordained by God, Allah, in the religion of Islam. And it will disappear from the lives of the Muslims in Hamtramck. And most importantly, our children will lose this identity. If this is passed, the Muslims will miss out the drawing themselves closer to God, because everything that we Muslims do, or at least we're supposed to do, is to get our hearts close to God, Allah. And by taking this away, you will take this ritual, which makes a person, gives the impression that he's willing to sacrifice everything for the pleasure of God, just like what Abraham did when it came to his son. Number three, if this is passed, we're not going to be able to share our ritual, religious ritual, with those who are in Mecca, making the pilgrimage, the Hajj. We will not be able to share this commonality between us and them, which is the bedrock of the belief of one Allah, one God, which comes from Abraham, which was taken by his children to the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon all of them. Last but not least, if this is passed, this government in Hamtramck will impede the Muslim to practice their religion. Practicing the religion of Islam in its totality is a God's given right and confirmed by the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. After giving this initial comments, I'd like to bring attention to this general provision. In its purpose, it says, the purpose of this chapter is to promote the public health, safety, comfort, general welfare of the community through the proper control and care of animals by the owners and others. I'd like to ask the council and those who have researched it, how does one day out of the year that a Muslim wants to sacrifice a ritual, or religious rituals, contradict public health, safety, comfort, and general welfare of the community? Specifically, this Hamtramck is majority populated with Muslims. I would like to know if there's a study. I'd like to know how was it studied. But going through this provision, you have about 7 pages out of this 10. There's 10 pages. There's 7 pages dealing with cats and dogs, provisions and codes, and what one must do in order to live in the city of Hamtramck if they wish to have dogs and cats. Why doesn't the city of Hamtramck take the time out to do the same for one day, religious observations for the Muslims? Did you think about public health and safety when these dogs can actually infect its owners with hookworms, parasites, rabies, noroviruses, pastura, salmonella, brucella, and more? But yet, city of Hamtramck made codes and everything that needs to protect the dogs and the cats for to its owners. Why do you not take the time out to make 3 sheets to have the codes for those who wants to slaughter animals in Hamtramck for their religious freedom? However, if the city of Hamtramck doesn't wish to entertain from that angle, I'd like you to entertain this idea from a legal perspective. I'm not a lawyer. Sometimes I wish I went to that field. I'm not a lawyer. But you need to know that there has been 2 cases already in the United States when it comes to sacrificing animals for religious reasons. And this took place in the 80s. It was the state of Florida, a city called, I can't pronounce it very well, Hialeah, city of, am I saying it right? Hialeah. It was the church of the Lukima Bablo Ai versus city of Hialeah. 508 US 520. Decision came down that they were forbidden to do this just for the same reasons you have here in the purpose. Same reasons. You know, I went to Supreme Court and it was struck down 9-0. That state of Florida was not allowed to do such. And you will find this in the New York Times in the original article in the context on June 12, 1993, section 1, page 1. And when I used to live in New York, this is what we followed. So you should consider from a legal perspective. And also, in the Federal Code of Exemption for Ritual Slaughter, 7 U.S. Code, paragraph or section 1906, it states, nothing in this chapter shall be construed to prohibit, abridge, or in any way hinder the religious freedom of any person or group, notwithstanding any other provision of this chapter, in order to protect freedom of religion, ritual slaughter, and the handling or other preparation of livestock. For ritual slaughter are exempted from the terms of this chapter. For the purposes of this section, the term ritual slaughter means slaughter in accordance with the section 1902B of this title. This is Supreme Court. We're not interested to take Hamtramck to Supreme Court. We need Hamtramck to be sensitive. And I'm not here to threaten anyone. I can't afford to take you or anybody else to Supreme Court. But you should look at the law. You should look at the law also of the state of Michigan when it comes to slaughtering, ritual slaughtering. Act 163 of 1962. State of Michigan, people of the state of Michigan. And this is discussing the mannerism of slaughtering. And the reason I'm bringing this topic up is because there is an issue in the state legislation that people are supposed to be, or cities are supposed to be, sensitive to rituals, religious practice. And it's basically the same thing what the federal government has mentioned. And there's a House bill on the floor, by the way, number 4012, which is known as, if a structure is, Homestead Subsistence Farming Act. That is a residence who has a land, and it did not specify how big the land is supposed to be, but a regular residence land, that are they allowed to slaughter and raise animals? So they had the first reading. So second reading is, I don't know when it's going to take place, but this council should look into it. I'd like to end by imploring the city council and the mayor to please consider the life of a Muslim. Because a Muslim, in his everyday life, a Muslim, in every day of his life, he is or she is encouraged to judge their lives by a religious code, which comes from the Quran and the way of the prophets. And in our scripture it says, anyone who judges other than the book of Allah, they are not Muslims. Then, and it goes on to say, depending on their intentions, anyone who judges other than the book of Allah, they are oppressors. Then it goes on to say again, due to their intention, anyone who judges other than the book of Allah, they're transgressors. So we are Muslims. We do not wish anyone to transgress over us of our practice. If nobody in the city does it, I want to do it for me and my children. And I heard earlier that there are certain places in Hamtramck that you can go and sacrifice. Well, I don't think so. And I'm still waiting for the zoning department to call me, because I wanted to open up 2 years ago a livestock place in Hamtramck. They said they're not zoned, anyway, no one's zoned for it. That's why you don't have any live stock zoning areas that you can have that. That's why the only person that has it is on Eveline and Buffalo. But in Hamtramck, I even called today. I want to know where can we do it. So we'll be waiting for that answer. If people are going in a distance, hour, 2 hours to sacrifice, that's them. And they have to stand in line for hours and hours and hours. They get there 8 o'clock, they come home at 7 p.m. But we are Muslims. 30 by 100 is big enough. Mine is 30 by 100. I have a shed. We're from the village. We know how to tame a sheep. We know how to clean a sheep. Sanitation is not an issue. Our religion of Islam is not about a dirty religion. Our religion cleaned up Eastern Europe all the way to China. We taught them hygiene. So anyone who's propagating that this is unclean, our God is not unclean. He doesn't legislate anything that's unclean. So I implore the city not to vote on this to take place. For we're Muslims, we like to live in Hamtramck and practice our religion and have our children be proud of the city of Hamtramck and those who are leading Hamtramck. I thank you for your time, and I hope that all of you stay well and enjoy the rest of the week. And I haven't met you for the first time. We will meet, talk later.
Thank you.
Phil Quick, Lumpkin, welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Council and Mayor. We don't agree on everything in Hamtramck, but there are certain things that we can agree on. We can all agree that Hamtramck has a lot of cats. Hundreds of cats, probably thousands of cats, maybe tens of thousands of cats. Who knows? But there are a lot of cats in Hamtramck. The second thing we can all agree on is that community cats, those free-roaming cats who live in our alleys and who live in our garages, contribute to the public health in the city by eliminating rats. Without cats, rats can very easily overrun an urban area the size of Hamtramck. I know that. I was on council nearly 20 years ago when that was a real problem in the city. The final thing I think we can agree on is that colonies of free-roaming cats are healthier, they're stronger, and they contribute more to the public health when they're managed through an aggressive, government-encouraged, and community-supported program of trap, neuter, vaccinate, and return. I encourage the council to approve the revisions to Chapter 90 of the City Code on Animals that is before you tonight. The revised chapter, in particular Section 23, lays out the city's commitment to and caregivers' responsibilities for maintaining a healthy and clean community cat population through a well-managed trap, neuter, and release program. With the code revisions before you, Hamtramck will join the ranks of a still small but growing list of cities and counties that practice trap, neuter, release, including Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Cook County, Illinois, St. Paul, Milwaukee, and others, which recognize and encourage trap, neuter, release as a way to manage a cat population. With this code revision, Hamtramck will show that we are, at least in the treatment of our community cat population, a caring, compassionate, and humane community. Finally, I want to thank the council for allowing me to be a part of this conversation that contributed to this revision. I believe that many of the cats caregivers in the city are delighted by the draft of the resolution before you, as it recognizes the tireless and important work done by volunteers to improve the lives of all those living in our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn Blasey?
Hello again, Mayor and Council. I just have a couple of quick comments. First, I would like to thank Phil for taking the time to draft some of the language around trap, neuter, vaccinate, and relief that was added to the ordinance. And I think in my experience, when I first moved to Hamtramck, I hated the cats. I was pissed. They were everywhere. Literally on my end of the street, they swarmed my car. I'm allergic to them. I wanted to kill them. But I learned, thankfully someone came and educated me about TNR. Over the course of about 5 years, I worked with some nonprofit organizations on the end of my street to trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release around 10 to 12 adult cats a year. We adopted out 5 to 6 kittens a year, and unfortunately, due to the high population, we did end up burying 2 to 3 cats a year that didn't survive. I have seen firsthand where trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release has been a positive impact. The colony at the west end of Faber near Lumpkin is now stable. The cats are healthier. They're not always in heat trying to fight each other, and what comes with having cats around in large populations. I would also like to address a little tiny piece of Ahmed's comments about animal slaughter, and just mention that part of that ordinance, from what I understand, didn't bridge from Eid, but it bridged from businesses leaving animal carcasses in the alleys and trying to dissuade that. So from my understanding, that was not at all intended to prevent anyone from practicing their religion and celebrating Eid. And that's all. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak for public comment or for a public hearing? Was that a yes, Mark?
Yes.
Come on, no? Oh, you're here, all right.
The prior speaker, the gentleman spoke about sacrifice, it deals with First Amendment issues. I just want to briefly address the fact there's been some history where there's been, I've had complaints of people from the city claiming their right to religious Muslims has been abridged by actions of the government. I had sued the sued the city a while back because people, when they were being arrested or being detained in the city hall by the police department, they were fed sandwiches which were not confirmed as being non-pork, and as a result, I sued the city. That was involving the case involving the seizure of the ice cream truck that made national news, and the fellows came down. Actually, it was at city council when the fellow came down and complained about that. And the next morning, he was told to go down to the police department where he and his brother were arrested and kept there for a day and a half. And they had no food because they fed them some sandwiches which were not good for me, non-pork, so they didn't eat anything for a day and a half. So this issue of being sensitive to religion is something that's not new to Hamtramck. As part of the free exercise clause of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, there are balancing tests that the U.S. Supreme Court has indicated, has enunciated on how we should honor religion, what's still, and the opposing interest being the interest in public health, safety, and welfare. That has to be very carefully looked at because, as the fellow said, I'm an attorney that can defend this, but can file suit. ACLU will do it, sit in court forever. They'll spend years in court. I know because I had a case dragged out for 12 years in the federal court system over issues of surveillance of Muslims. So what I think the courts instead of taking it to court and arguing in court, I think what's happened here is that the city's attorneys need to examine this in very, very fine detail and err on the side of caution, so you have a suit by the ACLU or somebody else. Look, are we abridging the Muslim religion, not allowing them to perform sacrifice to animals, or any other type of religion that does that? Because even though people are being for it, ACLU can come in and they can enforce this in the federal court system. And I've seen it done many times. It was done in Ann Arbor. It was done in a bunch of other cities dealing with these First Amendment issues. So I just think in this particular case, make sure you get an opinion that is very well researched, saying, look, there's federal statute involving religious uses and governing free access to religion and free exercise of religion in addition to the First Amendment of the Constitution. And I simply believe, knowing that I've been in litigation all my life regarding this, the last 33 years regarding some of these issues, it's something that is in the past caused cities a lot of money in legal fees because they're not careful when they pass these ordinances and they end up bridging somebody's rights. And we've seen this in Dearborn Heights, where we had here in Hamtramck with the judge who made a woman take off her hijab in court. We had with the Wayne Circuit Court with Judge Callahan, where she was made to take off her hijab. So the county spends how much money defending a lawsuit by the ACLU. So what I suggest you do, I think everybody here is Muslim. So that's interesting. You guys may want to be pro-Muslim on the issue. You want to make sure you do it carefully, okay? So it's just something that I like to see done in a more stringent fashion, more careful fashion to avoid litigation, because I've seen too much litigation in this city. I've seen too much in Dearborn Heights, Ann Arbor over some of these issues. So I really believe that we need to look at this. We need to look at it very carefully, make sure we get written opinions that look at the issues, and be very, very careful before we enact something or vote on something that could wind the city up in lawsuits. Because in one case I had, like I mentioned, was the city spent $30,000 defending the case. They settled anyway, years later, okay? I sued a lot of people. I sued, some people here. I've either sued or deposed over the course of my career, so, be careful, that's all I'm saying. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments for public hearing? I don't believe anybody can step back onto the stand. Just one time, sorry about that. You still are signed up for the second public comment, so. Mr. Mayor, that's all for public comment, or for the public hearing.
All right, can we get a motion to close the hearing?
Like to make a second.
All right.
Fine.
8:37 p.m.
Thank you.
So, you call the rules?
No, we can bring to the resolution, yeah.
I'll bring it back to
I'd like
the-
to make the resolution 2022-78 bring to the new business.
All right, so we'll move it to the, oh, should we get the motion for that?
I made a motion.
Okay.
Yeah, second.
We don't need to move it to new business, we can vote on it here, right?
You're voting on it right now, though.
We can vote it right now.
Mr. Mayor, so the options here.
Yeah.
If you want to move this resolution.
I wanna
this-
discuss.
this ordinance today, you would lay it on the table, someone would second, and you could discuss.
Yeah.
You're not required to vote on this today, you
Yeah.
can postpone it.
That's why I tried to
In order
bring.
to talk about it, as a body, someone needs to make a motion, it needs to be seconded.
I did.
So you seconded it?
Is the under E new business?
Would you be putting it under new business or
No,
just
you
tabling
would
it?
talk about it right now.
Okay.
At the agenda item it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to, a motion already seconded.
Okay, so, discussion?
Wait, who motioned and who seconded?
Me.
You motioned,
Oh,
Hassan seconded.
okay, go ahead, yeah.
Just to, but you did that.
To discuss.
No, you did that to close the,
Close.
public
Oh,
comments.
yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, now we're
Or
gonna move
actually,
it.
I.
No, that
Amanda
is
did
fine.
the
No.
close.
You weren't supposed to motion in second 8:37, that's to close out, unless you're ready to vote,
Okay, motion already been closed.
correct? So now it's.
Now another motion, we already had a discussion.
Okay.
And,
Councilman, or
yeah.
Pro Tem made a motion, I didn't hear the second.
Naeem Chowdhury did the
No.
second.
I seconded
And it is open for discussion.
discussion, that's right.
All right, so,
Now this motion, this
Discussion?
resolution to move it.
I've worked on this through the whole time, and I am personally satisfied with it as is.
Mr. Chair,
yes, Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm 27 years in Hamtramck. So I never see anybody sacrifice cow or goat or sheep backyard. I didn't see anybody. Everybody go somewhere, we feel, and sacrifice over there. Like yesterday, I took my whole family, Brown City. I sacrificed 2 goats, I showed to my kids. I had a lot of people with me too. So, we're not against the religious anything around here. We might gonna look for, like Imam said, some more slaughtering a spot in Hamtramck down the road, commercial district. We might gonna open more. But every house, if we do, there is I feel myself, my backyard don't have enough room to clean up. After clean up, how I'm gonna do with the skin? Where they're going? Where is the blood issue? In going to the sky here, 2 mile square Hamtramck city. When I go to Brown City, as soon as I go there, the smell come to me. Automatically I know I'm in the Brown City. It's okay for one day, okay for sacrifice, okay for lots of fields over there. Blood and other thing going, they have a spot over there, blood go, put the chemical on it and make a neutral for that
make sure there is no contamination. So I didn't see anything disrespect my religious anywhere in the world. Yeah, it's preventing to don't sacrifice your basement or backyard. So we're not policing either. So all those things, what I convinced with this one, because only the sentence I'm gonna add myself to promise of the zoning things, we might gonna look for some more near future, more slaughtering lot around here. Then with the scientifically, we can slaughter and clean and bring it like a zero with the chemicals. So it's down the road, but 27 years I didn't see any problem for me. I didn't hear any complaint from anybody. So to sacrifice for the other religious, for my neighborhood, if I go far away to sacrifice my religious things and my faith practice, I didn't see any issue with that. So far, as a Muslim, I feel I did not get discriminated or insulted for this ordinance, amendment ordinance, or whatever it is. So I'm okay with that. Cat and lots of cats in Hamtramck. So it don't bother me. This is my car. It's the sun time. The cat just hiding underneath my car, and I feel very good. I have to go to work. I don't go to work. I stay 10 minutes. This is what? He looking at me. I feel good. Every day I come 2 o'clock in the morning. My street have a lot of cats now come to me sometime. I give them something. I bring with me. Right. So I see that and I stand. It don't bite me, it don't bother me, like a Phil said. I used to have lots of rats, and I have to buy them, poison or whatever it is given to them or area specific. One day, city manager and code enforcement go with me. I want to show to them, and they educate me. He said, "No, you cannot put everywhere. You have to put hide somewhere for the rat, because other animals, they're gonna eat, they're gonna die." So it don't bother me anything. Long story short, this resolution for me did not respect my religious, and again, like I respect to the imam, we might gonna look for some more slaughtering house or a space from the city as the commercial zones. Again, I'm mentioning commercial zones, not residential. That's why we can compromise each other, live a peaceful and life in the Hamtramck city. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what I understood from the Sheikh, the Imam, is it's not about opening more spaces, more places here. It's about doing the sacrifice yourself. Because I know in the Islam religion, it's more, you get more reward if you do it yourself. That's what he was talking about. Some people want to do it here, not tell the store, order it like we do. We go to the store, order me the thing and do everything, and I just come and take it home. It's allowed, but you get more reward in Islam if you do it yourself. And I understand he's talking about the efforts you put to travel to another city and the time and all that. We know that we don't have enough space in our city, and the backyards are small. So I think since we sent the resolution last time, and we respected the people who cared about the cats and give them more time to listen to them and to take their opinion into consideration, and we accommodated their concerns, I think it's worth giving the other side who are concerned time to discuss their concerns and see if we can accommodate the request. I know even if it's allowed to do your sacrifice yourself, 99% of the people would still not do it themselves. I know that. I myself, if it's allowed, I don't want to go through all of that and do it in my backyard. But I know some people, the 1% will do it. So even if it's allowed, I don't think it would be a big disaster in the 8th day that not every house will sacrifice in the backyard. At this time, I think we should respect the other people's opinion and give them time, to discuss it with them and see if we can accommodate their request.
Mr. Mayor, I respectfully disagree. We've had this on the table for a month. So if this was an issue at the first reading, then it could have been addressed then. We had a full month for public input, and now we've had a public hearing. And so we've already had this on the table for a full month, that if this was an issue, that was the time that we should have addressed this issue. And we did it with the cats because we were approached at the appropriate time, and that we have to follow our policies and procedures as a council.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, first of all, I would like to thanks to Council Subcommittee, Asmari, Mr. Kowalski, Councilman Rafai, and City Administration, Kathy Anger and Max, for working on this for a long time. In echoing to Mayor, we sacrifice an animal once a year. It's to submit to God, submit to Allah. And most of us, we do go out of city, out of way far in the countryside to buy an animal to sacrifice for sake of Allah, sake of God. What I would like to understand that, is this telling us that no Muslims or nobody cannot slaughter an animal in the city of Hamtramck? We already have a livestock, we already have a poultries and animal slaughters store or building on Buffalo and Avalon, right? And it is in Hamtramck, if I'm not mistaken.
To answer your question, it says that at commercial locations, it can continue, that it would be not, private families doing that.
Okay, yeah. So is this added to that it says the commercial zoning can be permissible and usable?
It reads, no person shall slaughter any animal in the city except for properly licensed commercial facilities in the business of food preparation or police in the course of their duties.
So again, it's kind of peering into the Muslim concern, many things that we don't emphasize or educate everybody. They hear that no sacrificing animals in the city of Hamtramck, and they get their ears open, and then they wanted to find out as to why. But I think it makes sense that we're not telling not the business owners or the commercial zone not to do their business. It's just the residents where the backyards and the front yard or in their garage to cut slaughter a cow or a sheep. It's a it's a mess. It's as you know, when you slaughter or sacrifice a cow. But I would like to also sympathize with the Imam that addressed everything, as a Muslim, the religious practice should not be prohibited or should not be ignored or discouraged. Any religious, it's already freedom of religious in this country, and city of Hamtramck should not be any difference. Should be all allowed and should be permissible. So I think we'd like to make it where the people feel comfortable to living here with their religious practice. I wasn't on the subcommittee on this, so much of it I don't know, but I'm hearing that it's a way to accommodate everybody. But if the Imam is stating that it's not accommodating everybody, then it's something we need to discuss and concern. That's all from me.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I have a few questions for subcommittee. So, what was the previous ordinance about this description.
I don't believe this specific line existed in the previous ordinance.
So,
Correct.
So why we are putting right now? Just wondering.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess see in the agenda. I don't believe that one, and
So-
I don't have space in Hamtramck. This is coming from the state. They got no space in the zoning to put this. You're gonna have a big place.
This line was not previous ordinance.
Yes,
So we are adding this line.
correct.
So before we adding this line, we don't have no issue. After we are adding this line, now we have a start issue and a couple of, I just talking, couple of attorney also warn us, and also Imam has lots of things from the lot of different city and state, and so this mayor also intention looks like put into the table. Don't disrespect with the subcommittee. Maybe I understand subcommittee did 4 months, so maybe we can wait for postpone today for board. And can we do it?
Yeah.
You would want to clarify, I didn't hear exactly what motion you made. Typically, you make a motion.
Discussion.
For discussion, but it's to move it. So you may want to withdraw. If you want to change the motion, you would withdraw your support, you would withdraw your motion and put a new motion on the table.
Okay, so if we postpone today, any legal issue or anything? Okay.
You're
For-
not required to vote on this today.
Okay.
You can just withdraw the motions and Mr. Mayor, you can say to the subcommittee, continue to work on it.
Okay, so I like,
Was to move originally.
Right, I wanted to clarify that.
so, okay,
Make a
so
motion to move.
my counsel, very sensitive issue, pathetic and sensitive. So I like to withdraw the motion. Resolution number 2022-78.
I thought we voted for to close that
No,
public
no, we
hearing.
did a close.
And then we voted again, and that was the
I
second by.
open for discussion.
And then second by.
Second you
by
did
Council
it.
Menda.
No, no,
No,
what?
you did.
I did.
Second for discussion. Now, if I want to withdraw, I have an option.
Yes. Okay.
Okay?
So I'd like
So I like to withdraw my motion, original motion for discussion 2022-78.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, if you want the subcommittee to go back at that, you can just.
Yes, I think.
So I got the second.
Yeah. I wish to withdraw my motion
Okay.
as well.
You second.
Okay.
So we'll leave it for the subcommittee to continue working on it. And I think there would be more people who are concerned about this, not just the imam, because it wasn't an issue before, I know, and we will probably hear from other people. And we will try to accommodate their concerns and their requests in a way that would not cause any harm to the city
Anybody.
residents or to that would not be a health issue or safety issue in Hamtramck. So we'll continue to work on it. All right? So, all right.
Okay.
So we'll move to the new businesses now, and we'll start with resolution A that we moved before. Resolution 2022-83 approving appointments of Mashana Burton to position of HR generalist.
I offer.
Second.
Who seconded?
Amen.
You did it first.
Okay, so
So we discuss.
nothing major, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
No interruption for hiring process. I just want to ask one question. The salary is in with the range, is our budget? Okay, so that was the, my future interim acting manager shaking head, so looks like okay. So manager and board together, that was my question. If it is within the budget,
Yes.
I only looking for the finance little, otherwise no issue. And request, I know you guys don't have enough time and we have to do it right away. Next time, please practice the previous practice, hiring process. Any of the council member interested to be at the hiring, please follow that practice. Okay, that's all.
Are we voting? Any other-
Well, Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
so can we have her come up to this podium and introduce herself? So-
Absolutely. Do you want to do that after the vote, before the vote, or?
Before the vote, please. Because I,
Can you please, ma'am?
Max was the lead on this, Director Garbarino was the lead on this. You know, as I'm leaving, you know, I didn't feel like I wanted to be in the position to bring on the next person
No,
that's
it's
gonna work
great.
with this
It's
administration.
good for, you know, for, that's why he
Yes.
cannot say Kathy brought it, I don't know.
So, as City Manager Anger said, we had approximately 20 applications for the position, and that were processed
Somebody
by the
thinking
current
we're not gonna have nobody.
We interviewed 3, and Ms. Burton made the final cut, and she comes to us by way of Atwater Brewery and several other HR positions prior. And I'll let her take it from here and introduce herself.
Good afternoon, or good evening, Mr. Mayor and the members of council. My name is Mashana Burton. I'm currently a payroll HR administrator for Atwater Brewery. I've been there a little over a year. Prior to that, I was human resources and payroll for Boulevard Temple Nursing Home, which is owned by Sienna Healthcare. And I was there for almost 4 years, and I left due to COVID. The reason that I, selected it and wanted to apply for this position is just because I am looking to move from Atwater, and I kind of want to position myself with a company or a government that I can kind of place my feet and kind of stay in my second half of my career. So which is why I reached out to Hamtramck and applied for the position. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited about the position, and I hope that you all would approve my hire. Thank you.
So before you go, I see that you have so much experience mostly in the payroll, right, position? That's what here, they're saying, like a lot of, looking at your resume.
One of the unique things about our HR department is a one-person department. There is complete interaction with the payroll department. Having someone with HR experience that also has payroll experience will make our payroll department stronger, because it's understanding the benefits, it's putting, we don't have, and this is according to GASB standards, the person that is doing payroll never enters the person's payroll amount. It's done in HR. They
Yep.
put all of the
All
particulars
HR
of the
related.
contract in the HR module,
Yep.
or the payroll module, so that the payroll person isn't like creating $200,000 jobs that no one knows about. This person puts in those payroll amounts, and then the person that processes payroll takes that information and applies it to the final paycheck.
Okay,
So it's really a good fit to have someone who's very familiar with payroll. I was not involved in the interviews, I just met Ms. Burton tonight, but looking at her resume last week, it's a good fit for the city.
I can see she's highly qualified. So it says here in your education to present, you're still going to school too?
I actually just finished at the end of 2020.
Oh,
Due to
okay.
COVID, it was a little bit of a gap between actually completing and graduating, but I finally did.
All right. Well,
What is the measure? I'm sorry.
Human resources.
Okay. That's all we need.
Okay.
HR. Payroll always HR related all the time.
yeah,
No question?
a lot of experience. Can't read them all.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, it's a
thank
lot.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself.
So it's called.
Councilman El Samiri,
Yes.
Councilman Hassan,
Yes.
Councilman Chowdhury,
Approved.
Councilwoman Jakowski.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, resolution 2283 is passed.
All right, thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The next resolution is Resolution 2022-79, approving sale for residential development of 3105 Goodson. And I know you have been waiting for so long.
I make a motion?
Second.
All right, you wanna
And Mr.
take this?
Mayor, this, and council, this is part of the plan that the city has had to market our vacant parcels. And we're pleased to have someone here that wants to build their family home in Hamtramck. And that's what this is all about, the vitality of the city. The revenue of the city will come back when we develop these lots. And you build family homes, they pay taxes, the residents of those homes pay income tax. That's gonna be a big part of returning the city to prosperity. So we're pleased to be here tonight, and I encourage you to vote quickly so that we can do the things in the hallway and outside before it's dark.
Okay, let's go.
I just have one quick question from the public comment is the off-street parking a is it applicable to this house?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing to say.
All right, I mean, I know your mom, she is one of our patients, and she mentioned that. The first time I heard about it is from her. She was rushing us so we can get it approved, so looks like we're happy to approve it for you.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
I mean,
remiss in not mentioning that the Community Economic Development Department is doing an excellent job with this, and they're processing these and bringing these to you when they're ready. And, you know, I know it takes a little while, but it's worth that extra time. So I want to shout out to Carolyn and Ian in that department.
Thank you. All right, let's call the rolls.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Chowdhury?
Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri?
Yes.
Councilman Hassan?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 2279 passed.
All right, congratulations. Thank you for
Investing.
being patient with us today. So we'll move to the next one, Resolution 2022-80, approving action regarding Wayne County rates of first refusal properties.
I offer.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Mayor? Okay, so I only have a question. I am part of when we was making the deal with Wayne County, long time ago. So previous, if I'm not making mistake, so after we buy, if we make some money from this property, this is staying with the Hamtramck, not
No.
going to.
No, goes back to Wayne County. So why don't I give a quick overview and present your options here, and then everyone will know what this agenda item is. So on an annual basis, the county works through the foreclosure process. We turn over the tax rolls to them at the end of the tax collection season, and then the county reviews them, decides which parcels are subject to foreclosure. Due to COVID, it's been a couple of years that this process is taking place. Previous to that, when the city looked at this, we created a stabilization program and sold all of those properties at our cost to a developer who developed them, and an individual like that can make a profit on that sale. And we had a couple of successful years at that. This year, when this list came, we did not have a contract in place with anyone, so it's back to council to say, do you want these properties, A, to go back to Wayne County and anyone can bid on them and purchase the parcels? Or B, do you want to exercise your right of first refusal, take the properties, and then figure out how the city disposes of them according to our policy? So with that, everyone would be able to buy them at the Wake County auction, and then they'd have a time period to develop them. We would work code enforcement. When someone buys a house, if it's in disrepair, we go after it and say, we need to improve this, you know, there's a time frame. If you took those properties, the city would have to develop some kind of a plan. If you took any or all of them, develop some kind of a plan that creates the disposition policy. Do you take one of them, two of them, all of them? Do you do a pilot program, take a couple of them? Or if you took all of them, you would have a committee or work with the city manager at that time to create the plan of how you're going to sell them. back when we had the emergency manager, some of you will remember, we had a live auction in this room. I was the auctioneer, and we sold vacant lots. We've not sold structures in that way. Typically, it would be a sealed bid. The bids would come in by a certain date and time, sealed, you wouldn't know the content, and then they would be opened publicly, and you would create a criteria for the successful bidder, whether it's price, whether it's the plan, you'd have to come up with that. You wouldn't just say it's price only driven. There may be other reasons, but you want a fair, transparent process in order to move these properties.
Okay, still, okay. So now I refresh everything. Okay. So if we don't buy it, we cannot control it. Okay, I know that.
Correct.
If we buy it, we still control it. We don't have to make the profit. Whatever we buy, still we can sell the same amount of money, and Wayne County cannot do nothing. Okay?
I didn't mention one thing, Mayor Pro Tem. If we have costs of marketing the houses,
Yeah.
administrative costs, you can charge those back.
Yeah, so at least, yeah. So still, my idea, I will bring it here. That's why builder cannot bid it. Then I have the people who has, we're gonna set up the criteria, who don't have the house, and we're gonna select the, like a manager will make the pilot program. So this person can have the one, or he's the closest house, who don't have the house in Testop, has a house in Hamtramck, low income, we can give it to them. So we can control that one. If we don't buy it, we cannot control who is buying that one. Okay, so that's all my discussion today. I'm gonna say still, my colleague, I still wanna buy it. It's not a lot of money. I still gonna buy it, bring it to us, then we'll deal with them.
So I do wanna mention, Mr. Mayor, if I might, once those properties would revert to the city, we would be liable to protect them, to make sure they're boarded up, insured, that nothing is, nefarious is going on.
Some cost.
Take care of it, and you would want to move them as quickly as possible, but fair, transparent plan. As a sitting elected official, I'd be very careful about bidding on them myself if I were in your chair. That you have an unfair advantage by knowing all the content of this. So you want to be very careful with whatever plan. I also want to say that as I'm leaving, even if you put that on my plate if I was staying, it's a tremendous amount of work, and the capacity concerns me for the city with the new city manager. But that's your decision.
So when we discussed this, and we know now that the city is not making any profit, but we still can sell them not for the same amount of the minimum bid, right? We can sell them
we
for
can
the
sell.
fair market value, for example, or
It-
as high as possible, but the money does not go to the city, you said, right?
The money does not go to the city is the accurate answer. So the advantage of having a minimum bid that is higher than what you see on the
$2 higher,
state doesn't
$1
benefit
higher.
us.
So we can, you said we can charge for the administrative work.
Correct.
And we can charge as much as we want, right?
Yep.
No, the cities are not allowed to make money on things like this.
Not as much,
The
whatever
fee schedule is set in
cost.
such a way that it's the actual cost of doing business. So if
That's already-
an individual staff
Let's go
member
decide.
worked on it for 4 hours, and then there was an ad in the newspaper, and then we made flyers, you'd be able to charge for 4 hours of time, the ad in the newspaper, and that actual cost, not just, oh, we'll charge you $50,000 to do this.
No,
It has to be
But if it's a
quantified.
lot of work, then we can.
It's a lot of
charge.
work.
It's gonna be like, come and work on Sunday and charge double time.
Okay, let's discuss.
Anyways, I mean, I just wanted to clarify that and see what the other city council members want. I mean, anybody has
Mr.
any
Chair?
other comments? Yes, go ahead, Councilman Chapman.
As our city manager explained, and from that perspective, what I understood that it's a lot of work and a lot of liabilities on us. With the interim city managers going forward with a lot of responsibilities. In the past, I think we has a first refusal, right? In the past, we did not take the properties from the county. We had the,
We've done both.
We're
We've
done.
Oh.
Done a lot.
acquired them for a developer, and we've let them go back to the county.
so it's, as far as my concern, it's that let the county handle it. It's, we already got too much in our plate. That's my opinion.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I have a question, just based on what Mayor Pro Tem said, is, if we take these hypothetically, are we able to put parameters on, like, who can buy them? Like, they would have to be a first-time home buyer or something like that, where we would increase home ownership in the city?
You can create a plan, yes.
And see,
Okay, if you don't buy the whole thing, we buy some, a little bit like the houses, not a lot. If you buy the lot, we can make it.
You are allowed to pick and choose. You can cherry pick this list. We do, according to the letter, there's a short timeline for this with the county. So you would have to decide, I believe it's July 22nd. I'm gonna read off the letter so I don't give misinformation here. July 22nd, you would make the decision about which properties, if any. And then by July 29th, you would remit the $47,000 or less, depending if you took one or
Okay.
some.
Okay,
You know, if
can we
you didn't
table
want to
it?
decide today, you want to think about
No,
it, you
table
can
it.
have a special meeting to make this decision.
Yes, can we
No
table it?
special meeting, okay. Mr. Chair, if Sumari done,
Yes.
if I approve today, so you guys can take the, pick, choose whatever you want.
Yeah.
There's no restriction to buy everything if I approve today. Okay,
You
so
can
this is
choose
okay, no
certain
need,
ones, you can pick
Yes.
them all.
okay,
do we have to decide which ones today?
no.
No,
Either you
we
decide
just table it,
if
we're
you-
gonna make a special meeting.
If you're gonna do a special meeting,
Yes.
you can make a specific resolution,
Okay.
if that's what
So-
you choose to do.
Today you have to buy as a package,
No.
No, again,
You
we-
could
Hold
do
on.
that here today.
huh?
You could today move, I would like to, it'd be somewhat of a pilot program. I'd like to do 2 of these, you know, 2 of these houses, or 3, and not all of them. You could do that today.
Can we table it and make a special meeting? We buy some of them, we're gonna give them a list.
I mean, I don't see an advantage of buying
Maybe-
some. Why don't we just buy the whole thing if we decide to buy? I mean,
We
what
need to
difference?
buy the whole
That's-
thing, we
that's
got
what-
liability.
Yeah, then,
We need to buy the
a
whole
lot
thing.
is not.
Liability, I'm
Lot
telling
is
you,
the
it's not
500.
gonna last. If you buy it, it's gonna go fast. I know it's not gonna last. You know, from the time you put it on auction, it's gonna go in 1 week. It's not gonna last for too long. That's if you guys decide to
Okay.
buy it.
So if, Mr. Mayor, point of order, if there is no discussion, I'd like to call the vote.
It's called the vote, like what?
And so there's 2 resolutions there. Are you calling the vote to, so we put 1, that you are not going to exercise your right of first refusal, that you do nothing, and then they go back to the county, or the second resolution says purchase, and then if you
Yeah.
want to say what your motion is to purchase all the properties, then that's your motion.
All the
Clarify your-
properties.
Clarify your motion.
Yeah,
Make a
all the
motion-
properties.
We make a motion to buy some a little bit, and how to
All
move
of
it.
them?
Not all of them, a little bit.
Well,
We're gonna make a list.
Okay,
We're gonna-
can we put one motion out at a time?
Yes, I did the motion to buy all of them.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
I got a second.
all right.
Just a moment, please, let me just catch up on the notes. Okay. Are we just going straight to vote?
If no discussion, yes.
We already discussed it.
Councilman Chowdhury?
No.
Councilman El Samiri?
Yes.
Councilman Hassan?
Yes.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman, I apologize.
It's all good.
Yes. So purchase all?
Yep.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, 2280 has passed.
All right. All right, we'll move to the next resolution. Resolution 2022-81, approving prioritizing alley reconstruction as funds become available. Motion?
Offer.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilwoman?
I just have one quick question. Is this resolution going to essentially change anything, or is it just affirming what's already in motion?
I would ask the writer of the resolution to speak on it, and then I'd be happy to follow up.
Thank you, City Manager. Well, see, we have passed many resolutions for reconstructions of our alleys, roads, streets, and so far we have that in the pilot, but we don't see that it's happening. It's some of those alleys are being done, pavement is done, but I like to prioritize in the welfare of the people. The people deserve a better alleyways, better streets, better roads. This is going to bring this constructively, prioritizing the constructions. We're having a fund coming, or if we have a fund availability, I like to prioritize these constructions works in the city of Hamtramck. It's been neglected for a long time. So we do have the Hennessy in charge of this, and they propose and everything, but the prioritize is we're prioritizing other things. We're not focusing on the infrastructures, streets and alleys. We needed to bring this to our city administration attentions, that we have passed a resolution in the past to bring this more upfront, more straightforward to the public. It's the public, the residents of our city deserve better quality life here in Hamtramck. So that's why I just wanted to make the city deems and appropriate and expedite to reconstruction the alleys.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I know a city manager want to say something, but we don't want to, for your timing matter. I just have one question. The alley program is going accordingly or no?
Yes. So I think what Councilman might be saying, if I could help a little.
Sure.
Is that for 30 years, nothing happened. And then we started doing it. And so now we are improving those alleys, but if money becomes available, you'd like to make that a
Expect.
stronger program. And you'll also prioritize that when you budget.
Okay.
So today, saying, yes, we think it's important, I
Let-
see no harm in that, but then you would have to act when you have your budget and you have your revenue to fund that line item.
Okay, let me clarify one of the things to my colleagues. So far, LE program, money come budgeted for LE, they are using through the Hennessy recommendation. But we do have a special program, we made it from the budget, pilot program, $500,000, one of the specific really, LE. So we can set that one. Can you please expedite that one as soon as possible? That's why a lot of discussion gone, agenda respected, we all get what we want, everything get, okay? Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, let's call the rules, please.
Councilwoman Jakowski.
Yes.
Councilman Chowdhury.
Yes.
Councilman El Samiri.
Yes.
Councilman Hassan.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, resolution 2281 passed.
All right, thank you. The next one is Resolution 2022-82, directing the interim city manager to review the non-owner occupied rental ordinance.
Offer.
Second.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, some Mayor.
so I want to try to save little time. Okay, discussion here. Right now, one of the council member brought this resolution to us to the agenda, and now he getting blamed for everything. So, rental unit, we all respecting about the rental people. Okay, talking about the rental people. There is the other side. Suffering side is the landlord. Nobody talk about it. There is the people come 2 months advance, after that never pay. Had to take them out from the house, takes 7 months. After that they go another couple of months. Landlord did not get no dollar, not even $1. Broke the houses. Nasty wire destroy a lot of things. Nobody discussed that one. Okay? So I suffer. I lost the 2 houses due to exactly this reason. So, there is can you please tell me the Warren City, just picking the city name. Warren City, 3 years. Oh, we are better than Warren right now, that make it 2 years. Farmington Hills, Troy City. Okay, this is the 100 years old houses. You cannot expect here built yesterday. There is something, but it's still safety. It don't happen within 2 years, December, something. How are you thinking January will be something like a completely different? I didn't expect that and I didn't believe that. So landlord paying, somebody have to understand. Okay? So, Councilman Sumari, this resolution, he brought it here. We feel conflict of interest, but he's part of the landlord too. That's why they're saying, but he's the part of the suffering person too. So I'm not. So, but for me, I'm thinking with respect all the colleagues and residents, 3 years is good for me and I can follow the Warren City. That's all I said.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman.
I strongly oppose passing this. I think that making it 3 years is a mistake. It is disrespectful to our very high renter population in Hamtramck, where it's pretty unanimous among renters that they would prefer 1-year inspections. They want annual inspections. And so the compromise point is actually, excuse me, where it already is at 2 years. If landlords want 3 years, renters want 1 year, we already have it where it is. So I think we either need to not touch this or discuss it more at length in a subcommittee.
Any?
Chair?
Yes.
Madam City Manager, was it at any point in time this ordinance was a 5 years inspection?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of, but I've only been here 10 years.
Because that's what I heard it somehow from, that it was a 5 years inspection. Well, all due respect to the tenants and all the commenters, the landlord, as my colleague said, the landlord suffers a lot. I have been with the landlords a few times. The tenants wouldn't pay and they wouldn't move out. The eviction took us a year and then damaged the property. First of all, the landlord invested the money to make money. Any business, they wanted to make money. I haven't heard any, I've been here in Hamtramck 12 years, off and on 27 years, that any incidents from landlord's property. And many of my friends own properties in Hamtramck, many of them. They're investor. The code enforcement, bringing the landlords into compliance is a great thing. We want the public safety. We want the public to have a good rental property. But on the other token, the landlord suffers a lot when the tenants started finding every little bit of things, and they fix it. They still complain 6 months later. This is broken again. How many times the landlord's going to fix it over and over? But they do because they want to collect the rent. So they are in a positions, in a force to do so. But the 3-year inspection is it's like the other cities. I don't see why not. It's finding it that given the chance to landlords are breeds, it's investor. Many of us are selling the house, moving out. So the investor will be investing in the city of Hamtramck more. I mean, I prefer to have an ownership. I prefer instead of the rental, I'd like to see the owners living there instead of tenants. But then if we have the investor or the landlords to still renting out to folks and accommodating the city. I mean, inspection 3 years, every 3 years is inspection. They go through everything. After 3 years, they will come back to this house. 2 years, 3 years makes no difference. It's just literally another year. But instead, giving the benefit of the doubt to the landlord that they have a breathing room. Every after 1 year tenants moves out, they gotta come in fix. They always repainting, fixing the house, because the next tenants would not move into their house unless their house is reconstructed, repaired. I've been a landlord, not anymore, but all the respect, 1 more year would not hurt. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr.
my colleague make a one comment. Can we table it and make the subcommittee to do more research?
No,
So
Let's get it over with.
no, we're gonna have to do.
just discussion myself.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman.
I'm a little confused by some of the comments from my colleagues who are talking about things that are not things that would be covered under the rental inspection. The rental inspection is there to protect the tenants from landlords who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if the landlords are doing what they're supposed to be doing, then 2 or 3 years, if it does not make a difference, then we should protect the tenants by giving the 2-year turnaround. If it's no difference to the landlord, if they're in compliance, then it's easy. If they are not in compliance, that means that the tenants of those homes are at risk for their health, their safety. And so if we're gonna give the benefit of the doubt to someone, it should be the one who's living in that home and does not have the control over all of the repairs that need to be done for their health and safety. If a landlord cannot take care of all of their properties, then maybe they should sell some of their properties so they can have a workload that they can maintain themselves. And if they cannot make those, the maintenance and stuff like that, if they can't afford it, then they should not keep holding on to all of those properties. 2 years is not a burden. 2 years is a totally reasonable amount of time, and if we have residents who are living in those homes who are asking for annual inspections because they are not having their needs met by the landlords, then we have to step in as a city to help promote the health and safety of the residents, which we have a very, very large number of renters in this city. So we need to protect them from people who are not keeping their houses within compliance.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes,
Just
go
make
ahead.
one quick comment. See, here's the perspective. Any tenants that would be moving into a house, they will really gonna do the inspection. They're going to go through the house. If they don't like the house, they will move into another house. That house, if it's not compliance, if it's not ready to move in, I would not move into that house. So the inspection and it would not, you know, redirect these tenants to go another. The inspection will fix the compliance, but the 2 years compliance, this resolution's brought by the Councilman Asumari, and I know he should have been talking about this, but instead I'm speaking that, as I was saying, if I'm going to move into a house, obviously I'm going to check the house out. If I don't like it, it's very simple. I will go to another. If not, I will move on. But that putting inspection every 2 years, landlord will, how the inspection is going to be accommodated? Tenants will move out, but before the landlord try to fix it, then they'll put another people in and they'll destroy the house, or do all kinds of things. Then the landlord is responsible again to repair the house. 3 years, compliance is that, you know, the stairs, the railing, the smoke detector, the carbon dioxide, safety bathroom, safety stairs. Those are things. Those are already there in place. People have been living in these houses for hundreds of years. That's all I have to say. I guess I made my point. The house has no problems.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Sumay.
I see the people they speaking. We didn't need to speak how they have the background from 15 and 20 years. What they own, the people, what they did. This 3 years is nothing. We need to bring people investment to come in the city. 3 years is nothing. If I always speak, I'm gonna find out a lot big different, a lot, not a small thing. When the people they own how many houses, how many years. We didn't need to find out that one. Just 15, 20 years, not 30 years.
You're just adding 1 more year.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I finally want to request one thing. I have a two council member is not here. So this is kinds of sensitive issue also. And it is not that today we have to approve it. Okay. So I want to hear from other two council members.
Okay.
So also, so it's not the big deal. I like to table it, bring the same resolution by the next council meeting, if my colleagues agree with that. I want to hear from other two council members too.
Well, since we have the quorum, I mean, it's not necessary, but you guys,
We need to move the resolution to 3 years. Yes.
would you guys
Let's call
want
for
to?
vote. I like to make a vote.
I'm just,
Are you motioning to?
I like to, if, Mr. Chair, I like to make the motion to table it, this
Second.
resolution for today.
Second.
On the table.
So you have to. What was the motion originally, it's just.
Discussion.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't it.
Yeah, it's motion to approve.
Move
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah.
And so after discussion, you don't want to move the issue, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Who made the motion to move the issue?
Me.
Then you have to withdraw your motion.
Yeah. I like to draw my motion.
But,
Original
so,
motion.
sometimes, you know, there are some sensitive issues that some members don't want to discuss, to be here. I mean, so I prefer that we just move and vote on it, since we
We're
have
gonna
a
bring a
quorum.
lot of things.
I mean,
It's only a review, it still has to go through ordinances for anything to pass, so it's really just a review of that section. So nothing is really.
I understand what I'm saying. I have a two
Thank you,
council
Madam
member
Clerk.
is not here. So I like to hear their voice too.
What
That's why
was,
that.
Why only today?
we
We want to
had-
hear for to other council. Why only just this meeting?
Right.
How
We had
many
a
meeting
comment.
we move all the
Okay.
Okay,
resolution?
Councilman Sumari, we have a comment from Khalil. Read it again. I mean, he already voiced his concern, and he
That's
made
right.
it clear. He made it clear
He
that
made
he
it
is
clear, but
against
he's
it,
not
right?
he's not able to vote.
I know
on
he
it.
can, but that would be his opinion when he comes. So why do I want to wait until he comes and read the same thing for me?
Sure.
I mean, it's obvious that he's, I mean, it's in your favor because he's not, he's against it if he comes.
Yeah, if you want to
So-
find out another thing, you're gonna get a lot
Somebody
happening.
have to hear the
Yeah.
people too.
Why table it? It's very pretty.
It's just a
You have
review.
review.
You're gonna make a
Just a
lot.
review.
And we just wanted.
I know how they do.
Nothing is
We
being,
have to.
no ordinance is being changed, it's just a review at this point, it still has to go through public hearings.
Anyway.
If anything does change.
Okay. I think, okay, just review.
It's just, that's what the ordinance says. I mean, that's what the resolution says, it says to review the it's just a review. So nothing is being changed, nothing's in stone until a public hearing.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yes.
speak?
Go.
It is for the city manager to review, but it also says to bring before this body a 3-year interim. So
There is
it will
that.
come back for a first reading,
Yeah.
Yes.
a second reading and public comment, and then you can call the vote when you're ready to vote on it. This is directing the interim city manager to bring back an ordinance for
For
a
the
first
3
reading
years.
Yes.
with a 3-year interim.
Yeah, there is a change. Okay.
Okay, I just do that.
And if the interim city manager sees something else in the ordinance that needs to bring to light, it's saying review the ordinance,
Okay.
not just the increment,
Okay.
Okay.
okay? So that's what you'll have.
Yeah, just
You
make
have
the
a
vote.
Completely changed ordinance, and he should use city staff, the subcommittee could weigh in on this, you could send it that way, and then bring back something that you can agree on.
Okay.
Okay, so we have time then. Okay.
All right, then we should vote. and see.
Ready?
So still my motion existing
Your
Yes.
motion is to move the
As it is.
resolution as it's written.
as it is. Okay.
All right.
Councilman Hassan.
Make me in a spot right there. Oh Lord, help me. Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri.
No.
Yeah, it's already
Councilman Chowdhury.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jakowski.
No.
And
obvious that,
He meant,
well,
like that
we are
one.
moving it as it is
Yeah.
for the next meeting, so,
He said
yes.
yes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, resolution 2282 is passed.
thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, there's not a timetable in here. He can take his time to work.
No
on
problem,
this.
no
So
problem.
it might
It's
take a
normal.
period of time. You likely won't see it in 2 weeks.
Maybe 2 years. Who knows? Well, you did not set up the time.
Okay, we're gonna see what we have.
Okay.
Let's see, I'm gonna show you.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, our reports are here, but the hour is late, and these people have been waiting, and I recognize
know.
some of the faces as people that want to be here for the 100-year plaque, as well as the mayor. Could we go at ease and have those two events? And anyone that wants to join us for reports or future public comment can return, and then we would go to closed session.
That's fine.
Okay, so we're going at ease at 9:40?
9:37 on mine.
I do see that our state representative is here, and usually we do allow elected officials
Is to speak, suspend the law, we are sorry.
to suspend the rules and speak, so.
I'd like to
it's up
suspend
you.
the law to bring our state rep.
Yeah, second.
Abraham Ayas to speak something.
Mayor,
Hopefully he brought some money for us.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm here to filibuster the 100-year commemoration. No, I just wanted to take an opportunity. One, thank you guys for a lively council meeting. I just finished a long day of campaigning in Detroit, so it's good to be back home in Hamtramck. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the work that Kathy has done for the city. You know, I look to her not only as our city manager, but as a friend and as a mentor for someone who served in the state legislature in leadership. In fact, Kathy, for those that don't know, was the last majority floor leader when the Democrats had power way back when Obama was president. So I just wanted to take a moment from a personal and a professional perspective to talk about some of the work. I know people have mixed feelings about leadership in general. Some folks like the way some people lead, and others are very critical. But I can tell you that personally, you know, she's somebody that's always been accessible. We have always been able to talk about issues, whether her and I agreed. I'm sure there's a lot of contentious things at the beginning of the year, but I know that when I talked to her, she put the city of Hamtramck as a first priority. When we came together to discuss budget issues, when we came together to discuss the pension liability, which we're able to successfully help reduce for the city of Hamtramck, you know, the conversation was, how can we get more resources? How can we continue to elevate the city of Hamtramck every step of the way? And I never understood, someone who lived in Dundee, why the hell she'd be so focused on Hamtramck. But I can tell you that we will be losing someone who was an incredible ally and asset for us, both for me as a state representative for Hamtramck, but also for the city. And I'm sure many community members feel the same way. So I just want to say, Kathy, thank you so much for all the work that you have done. We would have had a tribute for you from the state of Michigan, but the governor's office is taking a little too long right now. But rest assured, it is coming. But I just wanted to thank you for your mentorship as a state legislator, for your partnership as the city manager, and then for your friendship as somebody who loves Hamtramck. And I know this is not the last time we'll see her, so she's going to be announcing what she's doing next.
You're gonna see her every day.
Maybe. It depends on my committee assignments. But I'll say that, you know, I look forward to seeing you at some point, hopefully more often than not in Hamtramck and less so in Lansing. But you're always welcome back, and I think that we still have a lot to learn. 10 years is a long time of service. I've done it for almost 2, and I have more gray hairs than I came in with. So I'm sure that you either have a really good hairstylist, or you just have an ability to not suffer through it. So congratulations on your next position, and thank you for your service to the city. Council, Mr. Mayor, thank you for the privilege to speak right now.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Still,
Alright, so we can go and then come back to finish the reports?
Yeah.
Unless you guys want to make the reports
So
quick?
we're gonna go at ease, at, what time is it now?
9:41.
9:41, we will return for reports and public comment and closed session. We will not be returning for a vote after closed session.
Do we have a time we're returning?
We're gonna go do it, and then snap, be back.
We don't know the exact time. You have to
And
put the
Greg
time.
has assured me
No, I
that he
just
can
want
film in the
everybody
dark.
to be back to see what
So,
happens.
I know that the former mayor is watching, and so I assume she's on her way now, for the street. So let's go to the street first.
Okay.
So anyone, do you wanna do that, Greg? Let's do the hallway, on the way by.
Okay.
Let's do the hallway. on
All the way
by.
fast, okay.
All right, let's go.
All right.
And if you don't want to go, you are welcome to sit here and wait.
It's okay.